everything should be awake. I just realised that my browser source is the same one that I'm using for useful stuff. To realise I can't see anything with my glasses off. Now, it looks like it's working. I look, I have stand alerts there, but I haven't actually added anything. Forgot about that. That's something to add in for the future. It's probably going to be a relatively short one today, maybe like only an hour. My eyes are better, but they are not perfect. They're still a bit sore. I got some eye drops in, so hopefully in a couple of minutes they'll stop burning, and I can actually focus a bit better. But I wanted to carry on doing more art stuff. Yes, I enjoy playing games, but playing games, unless I go for speedrun stuff, is not going to be a real good use of time sometimes. And I do want to get better at the art. Especially after last Sunday kind of got a bit derailed by questions. I'm going to hide this. Go on to a new layer. Wooly had been curious about how I was going to be dealing with the long legs and what horrific monstrosity would be created. OBS, please show me in my chat. There we go. Now that I've done that, I can bring up the window. Now, our long legs, we don't have a lot of information on it. We've got some vague ideas. First one, it's big. It is also spider. Or at least spider-like. But I was thinking it might be more interesting to have it more like harvestmen, which are not technically spiders, but they are arachnids because they have 8 legs. Which is what we have up in our image search. The main difference between them is the harvestmen and spiders have a different body layout. Spiders have got, the small bit at the front and then the big bit at the back. There's 2 distinct body parts to a spider. Whereas a harvestman looks like a very big tick that just has extremely long legs. And then we have the thing called long legs, which just makes me think, yeah, this is the kind of body shape we might want to go for. And we've got like quite a few different versions. I mean, we've got ones that are like long and spread out. By the way, if you don't like spiders, this might not be the best thing. And it's just reminded me, I might need to Oh no, that's fine. My stream title from last time can continue because we are going to be drawing weird creatures. Hello, Jeeper. How is the lying down? Yeah, like I was saying, if you're not into spiders and creepy crawlies, you might not. Oh no, a PvP extraction shooter. Oh, that that kind of puts a bit of a dampener on the whole "it seems really interesting" thing that they're remaking a game from like right at the start of Bungie's career. I mean, PvE, even honestly, even a thing like Destiny. I mean, part of me was thinking maybe they're trying to like make something ready for Destiny's ending. They're prepping a new IP to take over and have a similar thing. But PvP extraction, I don't know. Just the letters PvP never give me a lot of hope, if I'm honest. Yeah, so I was thinking for our long legs, going with the Harvestman, as I mentioned, because the fact that it's only got like one body part is creepier to me than a spider. Because a spider, you look at a spider, you can see it's a spider because it's got like one big butt and then a little bit at the front with some eyes on. Whereas these things are just like a blob with legs. And we've also already got pre sort of body plans that kind of match what we were wanting with them. Also, I'm sorry if my model, if the model eyes keep closing, because one of my eyes is kind of like permanently glued shut. At least until the eye drops kick in. Yeah, we have our sort of like pre-plans for our long legs thing. Because obviously we got our ones from the forest, which are going to be a round body, very long legs, all up like that. We've got our one that lives in a cave that's going to probably be more like this. So that, you know, the legs can kind of like go around the side of the tunnel. And I'm thinking the one for the cave the cave crawling ones are the ones that are more like this, that they're flattened out, they like stick to the side of the canyon wall. So you know when you're walking down the canyon, they're gonna be sort of like running at you like that across the side of the wall. Possibly even jumping from side to side. Who knows? Yeah, I'm thinking that out of all of them, the Harvestman kind of has existing ones that kind of fit the movement plans. So we know the legs can cope. We know the legs would work. And also the bit that you haven't seen yet is the. They could stick bug wiggle. You know, who knows? They could indeed stick bug wiggle. If this ever takes off the ground and we get a game made of it, we can actually have that as a Fortnite dance version. Just a stick bug wiggle. I mean, like I say, we've got this flat one, which, like, in my head seems really good for the canyon. We've got this sort of like body plan where it's like really high up. Now, just imagine this. Except what we've got is it's sort of hiding in a bunch of trees. And obviously we've got the tree greeny bit at the top up here. Or whatever colour the leaves are going to be. We've not even considered leaf colour yet. So these things will be hiding right up in the canopy with their really long, spindly legs. That's how I'm seeing it for the forest ones. Then obviously we've got our flat one. The canyon. I doubt we're going to find one that just happens to be in a nice sort of tube pattern for its legs. But they would be able to manage it. But yeah, the bit that I like the most of with these, again, if you are not a fan of creepy crawly things, this might be the time to look away. I'm just looking for a good picture of them. That kind of works because you can see the sort of the weird mouth party bits. But yeah, these things have grabbers. They don't just have like mandibles like spiders do. They have full-on little hands that they use to grab shit and eat. Which is again another reason why I'm thinking that these things. There you go. That's a better picture. Like these things actually have hands, which just is infinitely more interesting than just like, oh, they can bite you. But these things can pick you the fuck up and then bite you. Which naturally would give you a chance to, wiggle free before they do the final bite. They can reach down, grab you, lift you up. Then you have to try and escape before you get too high. Otherwise, you'll take fall damage. They also have really like big bulbous eyes as well. So these things are like the perfect nightmare fuel. There's a good one from the tropics. It's a really spiky grabbers. These are the kind of nightmare fuel that I think would do really well as the inspiration for the long legs. I call them arachnids, but they might even like not technically be arachnid because it looks that they have the 8 legs as normal, but they have the 2 pincer bits, so they could be more closely related to lobsters for all I know. I've not looked into it. As far as I know, they're meant to be like in the same family as arachnids. But see the variations in these like grabbers that they have. Like some of them are just straight up claws. These ones look like they're more antler-like. They've got like a bunch of different fingers on them. Oh, what the hell's that one? Yes, it looks like that it uses it as a cage of sorts to grab smaller prey. You could just imagine walking through the salt forest. It's dark. You can't really see what's going on. And then suddenly there's something in front of you. You're like, oh, okay, it must just be a sapling. I'll turn around. Oh, there's one right behind us. That wasn't there a moment ago. And then these long strand things are all around you. And then it dawns on you and you look up and you just see the long legs looking down at you with giant beady eyes. We might even want to make it so that the way the eyes work changes through the course of their the life cycle. Like, make it so let's say, you know, we've got our bodies. So as a young one, maybe the eyes stay up on the top. Because it's small, it's looking up at everything. It's trying to, you know, it needs to know where there's predators to escape from, because it's obviously still small. It doesn't want to get caught by the ants, by the drill ants. And then maybe as it gets older and it goes through the molts, which is another thing that we need to think of, is these things are going to molt like spiders. Which means you can come across a skeleton of these fuckers. There's just a husk that could be the size of you. Yeah, let's say as they go through their molts, say after 10 years' time, the eyes have started to sort of get to about here. Because now these things are 6 foot tall. So they now need, rather than with these ones, the vision is going to be sort of up here with the legs going down and the little pizza bits. Because they're going to want to see what's coming, because something is going to tread on them or try and eat them. These ones still kind of want to look up in case there's a bigger long leg nearby, but they also want to look down because they're starting to tower over things. They're starting to look down on their prey. And then the final stage of being an adult, maybe the eyes are now underneath, and so they're looking directly down, because this is the point where these things are 15 foot tall, 20 foot tall. They don't need to look up. Nothing above them. They have no fear of anything above them, because they are the thing above everything else. So maybe that's how we're going to work with some of the life cycle. I mean, it's at least a thought. It would also mean that, you know, depending on the age of them, when you come across them in game, yeah, if you come across a juvenile that's only, you know, a few feet tall, it's gonna be looking up. So, you know, it's okay. It's not that dangerous. It still thinks it's prey. It probably won't even attack you unless it's really hungry. But then as it gets bigger, it's got more of a chance to go after you, because obviously it's above you, it's taller, it knows it can beat you. But it kind of gives an indicator to the players, how dangerous is this one that we're facing. If you've got a hunter in the group who knows the area, they can go, it's forward facing. That's like that's getting there in age. That one could be quite dangerous. It could have venom at this point. Probably a good idea to steer clear of it. Hell, the ones that look up, it could well be that the hunter goes, hey, that's good eating, quick, grab it before it gets older. We'll not only be doing the forest a favour by getting rid of one of these nasty fuckers, but we also get to eat good tonight. I think we go with a nice, like, just long oval shape to start with. And let's assume, for the sake of ease, this one is a juvenile. it looks like with Harvestmen. Hey Martha, welcome in. Yeah, they are indeed the wolves of the biome. If we look at these things, it looks like the eyes, they don't have the same kind of eyes of spiders. If we can find, it looks like they just have two massive ones. Rather than spiders who have like, and when you look at a spider from the front on, it kind of has two up the top, four down here, and then sometimes like two up there to get like a really like good vision. So we could still go with, that sort of layout, because like I say, these things are only based on what we have. There's nothing saying, these things can't have Harvestman and Spider parts. But that's it. Depending on the size of them, they wouldn't need to skitter, because if this is one of the 15-foot tall ones, the humans are probably going to walk underneath, not even knowing that there's something down, above them, looking down on them. Yeah, for all they know, they're alone, but this thing could be looking down. It might just like slowly stalk them, which obviously, in game terms, gives you some opportunities to throw some perception checks at the players. If they've got really good hearing, maybe they'll hear one of the legs treading on a branch, and they can start being a bit wary. Maybe one of them just like knows the area and just like says, okay, we should probably start looking up at this point. We're getting into their territory, that kind of thing. But it looks like as well that most of the legs come from a relatively centralized chunk of the body. And obviously, the main difference between this and the spider is a spider has like the front bit, and then it has like the back, and the legs come off here, and then it kind of has the eyes at the front. Whereas this thing just kind of like forgets this little bit in the middle and just goes, forget it, make it all in one big blob. What's the point? I would need to look up whether or not these things are convergent evolution, or whether they are just like based. They both came from the same ancestral beastie. Because that would be interesting. Two separate things decided 8 legs is the way to go, and also have this kind of body plan. So they've still got the 2 knee joints. Well, technically, it's still a knee and an ankle if you think about it. You've got the knee joint up the top, ankle joint down here, and they do still have their weird little pincery bits. And then they have like a weird tiny mouth, because the mandibles, obvious. These things don't look like they have mandibles, so I assume they just have a regular mouth. And that whereas spiders went towards the let's have mandibles to bite into things and inject them, these things went more with like fully extendable arm-like things. One moment, my eyes have gone really itchy for a second. I'm prepared for this with cold towel. I really do hope this is just like the hay fever that I haven't had for the past 20 years of my life. Just finally coming and hitting me in the face. Because hay fever is easy to deal with. I have like medication for that now. Need to give it a couple of days to start kicking in and we'll find out. You know what I should do? I should like just do this a lot more sketchy. We are still in like the starting thing. We aren't gonna we don't want detail on this thing yet. I need to start getting into the hang of trying to do like the basic things quickly. Just so we can get like some basic layout for it. And obviously from the front, these things would be able to have the normal sort of leg layout. Or depending on the type, like if it's one of the cave ones, it's probably going to have legs that do more like this, so they can fit into the cave walls a bit better. They can still obviously, you know, change their leg so they can, you know, drop down and grab stuff. And then the canyon ones are probably going to be much more long and skittery. Also, a terrifying idea. I wonder what surface tension would work like on these things. Considering the size of them, I don't think there's going to be a problem. But can you imagine if there's one of these things that lives in the inland sea we discussed, cheap? I don't know if you've heard of I'm going to say the Hydra, but not the Hydra you fought earlier in Dark Souls. There is a spider that uses a web of air to swim underwater. So what you end up seeing underwater is there's like this spider like this. It's usually hanging on to something because it crawls up and down. And then behind it, it just has like a huge web that's full of air that it sort of carries down like its own diving bell. And there is also a part of me that's wondering, what if there's an inland sea version of these? Because it's all within the same area. Theoretically, it could be a thing that's happened. You could just imagine, you know, here's your inland sea. You've got your dudes up the top fishing. And then down here, you've just got one of these little things with a big bag of air behind it. Ready to have a look, ready to try and pounce. Maybe it lives on fish. Maybe it's even the same thing. Maybe it's just like... Maybe the ones from the forest also hunt here. And depending on what they're doing, depends whether or not they have the air bladder or not. But maybe if they're running around the forest, maybe They don't bother. They don't need it. But then maybe, you know, if there's slim pickings in the forest that day, and there's no food, maybe they'll go fishing themselves. You never know. They could like put out some strands of web under the water, wait for fish to get in, reel them in, eat them. They've got their airbag, they've got their fishing line. Be great. And then also occasionally one of these boats will get caught in the lines and get dragged down. Of course, only the boat that's get dragged down. It might not necessarily be the person. But then that would lead to some folklore about the things in the water that eat boats. So again, it's another possibility we could go with these things. Because if we're trying to be realistic about it, it would be interesting to have like multiple. Well, yeah, it could well be that. It could be that, you know, whilst it's down there, it uses the boat as like nesting material. Yeah, yeah, I can kind of see that. So you just imagine, you got your water. It's managed to sort of like somehow there's like an abandoned boat, and then you just have the spider in the middle, using its kind of like a very, very freakish pond skimmer. Okay, I'm not quite sure about that bit, but it would be interesting, you know, if they could use things like that as a disguise. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, not even if we're counting the silliness of it literally being in the boat and using it on the water, like a water boatman, only a lot more, you know, literal interpretation of the water boatman beetle. This thing actually does have a boat. What if, you know, it sort of, you know, you've got your water level, you've got your beach area, or your, you know, your shoreline. What if it just drags its abandoned boat onto the side of the water, hides underneath it, waits for one of the things to go, oh, look, an abandoned boat. We can take that back. We can reuse it. They lift up the boat. Spider. Maybe it's one of the ways the juveniles hunt. Or hell, that could just be the life cycle. It could be that, you know, the smaller ones live in the water and fish. And occasionally, if they're big enough, they come onto land and try and net some bigger prey. And then when they get too big, that's when they start going into the forest area. I mean, definitely be a creepy thing to get told about the stories. Yeah, when your characters end up going to this area, they end up talking with the locals, and just like they say, oh, if you ever see a boat with no people near it, don't trust it. Be wary of the abandoned boats. And they just say bad things happen to the people that go after the abandoned boats. And they don't elaborate further. Obviously, yeah, let's say this one, it's going to be it's got the eyes on the top of the head. It's going to be relatively juvenile because it obviously it's doing the looking upwards thing. I imagine that the body size I don't think is going to change much once it gets to a certain point. Party rest by the coast. In the night when you turn over, you can see there's a boat there washed ashore that wasn't there before. Yeah, exactly. And then at which point, if you have someone knowledgeable in the party of the area, they can go, okay, that's bad news. Everyone collect your stuff as quietly as possible. We need to get the fuck out of here. Or, if there's no one that knows, they're completely oblivious. They're like, oh, look, a boat washed up. That's cool. We can use that to get to the other side. Lift up the boat. Combat encounter ensues. If you win, you gain a boat. Hey, Zahn, welcome in. Oh, and that's wonderful that the soundtrack for Bomberman 64 has the triumphant music just as Zahn turns up. I do? Why has Sheepa not told me this? Why has Sheepa not informed me of Echo? I have not changed anything. I have not changed anything. Not game audio is not doing anything because there's no game running. So there's music going. Lower the music down a bit more. It's really annoying because I'm also listening to the music in my headphones. So I can't actually hear anything. I mean, I've lowered the music down quite a long way now, so it shouldn't be hearing anything. And the mic isn't picking anything up. Other than me, obviously. Do you have me open twice? Were you lurking on me and then you also raided me? Because I have had this happen when I've been like watching Sheepa and then someone raided Sheepa and I get confused because I hear double Sheepa. Yeah, it does look pretty interesting. Even though I'm not a Destiny person, it looks interesting from what I've gathered from Sheepa. So we're currently working on the long legs for the prehistory D&D world, one of the weird megafaunas. So going with like this is the plan for the juvenile one. Big body, smaller legs. Those scrapes are from when I grabbed your hips when we were kissing Sheepa. So I'm thinking the adult one, it's undergone like probably 10, 20 molts at this point, and the eyes have slowly, with each one, moved down. With every molt, the eyes grow slightly smaller down. Yeah, slightly further down. And the body sort of stays roughly the same size, but the legs start going just a slight bit terrifyingly long. And obviously they'll still have their weird little pincery bits. Well, yeah. I mean, I went through some of it. Zon was here for the Sunday stream where we were going through, these things that we'd already designed. And granted, let's see. I had not gone through the Proto-Cerato, like the Proto-Dragon thing, which was this, and then the adult one was, massive. And then we also did not go through the fact that we have, the giant sheep. Because I mean, if you're gonna go with this, you got to have a giant sheep. Oh, go on, sheep, hit me. Worst monster, come on. This better be good. Are you thinking multiple long legs have attached themselves together? Or multiple salt squids have stuck together? Undead Spider King. Necromancer raises the long legs into a thriving mass of violence. I'm just trying to work out how that would work. Because the way that Rat Kings and Squirrel Kings work at the moment in real world is it's their tails that get stuck together. So are you literally thinking that it just attaches a bunch of them together like this and the legs are going off all over the place? Like this kind of thing? Or are you thinking that all of the legs are sort of like on the ground? I suppose it could work. I mean, you could either have it so they've just like stuck all the heads together. Maybe they don't really, they haven't really looked at what the orientation of the bodies are. They've just gone, no, stick it together and it'll grow back. Oh, God. I just had another horrific idea. You know, up until now, we've been assuming that these things lay eggs and then fuck off and leave the infants to care for themselves. What if if you were not a fan of spiders, please don't look at the reference imagery thing. What if it does this with its children? What if this is how it looks after its babies? It carries the eggs around with it, they hatch, and then all of the babies live on the mother until it's time for them to go. Yeah, I figured that would be the reaction of someone after seeing that, but yeah, can you imagine that thing springing on you in the dead of night? Just a long leg covered in other long legs. Hang on, just to just to cleanse the chat for a moment. Puppies are the favoured food of the the long legs. The delicacy to them, you see, because they're rare. Because they don't cook them, so of course they're rare. They're raw even. Yeah, that would be a horrific thing. Well, that would be the pregnant long leg. It gets to sort of this big. Let's not talk about how mating is going to work, because that would be a horrific thing to come across whilst you're in the middle of the forest. Because they'd just be like, oh, look, there's a long leg, and then you'll just see this other long arm coming from behind the tree with its little tiny pouch of cum. He's just trying to sneak in there. Because, of course, spiders be like that. And then it will end up sort of laying all the eggs into a sack and just carrying the sack around. And then when the eggs hatch, they leave the sack. And they all just live up here. Nice and safe from all the predators who are down here for now. Because they're all up there. Until they go through, like, their first... Maybe they wait until they've gone through their first or second molt. And then they all sort of, like, start climbing down the legs. They'll just climb down randomly at different places as the mother is walking away and walking around and doing their normal stuff. The babies will just, like, decide, okay, I'm getting off here, and they'll just walk down one of the legs, jump off, scurry off into the undergrowth. And yet maybe she lays like 200 eggs, but of the 200, only like 10 of them survive. Because as they're going through, they're obviously up here, there's no other food for them to go for. They aren't hunting on the forest floor. So what else is there to eat? They're either going to eat the mother or, more than likely, eat the siblings. Exactly. And so what ends up happening is only the most violent and aggressive of the brood of each brood that occurs, only like the 10 or 15 most violent survive because they've eaten all of their siblings. And then it gets to a point where there's only a few left. At which point they're like, okay, we could fight our siblings, but we're all pretty big now. They can do us damage. Maybe it's time to leave. At which point, as they realise this, as they come to the realisation of this, you know, fact of nature that if they don't leave now, they could get eaten by a sibling, they will leave. So they will scurry down one of the parents' legs. Refill my Beppis. So they'll scurry down like one of the parents' legs, get to the bottom, jump off, run off into the undergrowth. At which point they're probably sort of in this form at that point. So they're big enough, let's say, by that point, assuming the parent is, let's say, 20 foot, and their body is like 2 foot, maybe. So the body themselves, pretty small. You know, they can just like eat one meal and it will last them for like 2 weeks. Oh, and you know it will be even. Oh, that's just added more. That's just added more creepiness to it. Spiders have larders. But if this is a wandering spider and doesn't like stay in one place for a long time, it's not going to have a web to store these things in. So what if it just hangs its prey underneath it so that it can just like reach down, grab a snack, eat it, reach down, grab a snack, eat it, until there's nothing left, and then it just cuts that, drops the body on the floor, walks off to find its next food. Just realised that the references is actually over the top of the alerts. Not the alerts. The closed captions. There we go. You can actually read the closed captions now. This music is way too upbeat for the fact we're talking about giant demonic spider creatures. We've come up with so many horrific things these things could possibly do, depending on what we decide to go with. I mean, I've just turned the music volume all the way up. You should hear it by now. I've been keeping it sort of low so that it's not like overpowering. It shouldn't be because I'm seeing the. Yeah, I'm seeing the green bar in it. It's not. Yeah, because if you mute it, it goes grey. I mean, honestly, it could well be that because I've tried setting it up so that it does because I'm also recording the stream as well, so I have tried setting up my audio so that it's on different channels. Music audio is on track number 2. If I click on tab number 1, okay, I see how that is now. So, oh yeah, I'm going to need to look more into that into how that's working, because the problem is I want to be able to separate the music from the screen stuff, so that if I do end up uploading it and editing it, I don't have to like cut out my voice and mess around with anything. I can just say, well, my voice is on one audio channel, music is on a different audio channel, delete the audio for the music, keep my voice, they're separate. That's what I'm aiming for. Well, that's what I've got. I do actually have, it's at least the one that I've got, it's just called audio captures, the application audio capture. Which is the reason I got it, because obviously having everything go through desktop audio is a pain. So I've got a desktop audio, a game audio, a microphone, and a music audio. So if I'm playing a game, I can separate my voice from the game, so I can balance things out through the editing. Or in this case, I have the music going and my voice. If I'm afraid the music is going to be copyrighted, I can cut it out, do any editing I need, re-record any voiceover that I want to do, and then add music separately. I mean, trying to think of future things. I mean, I'm bad at editing right now. I can barely edit. I mean, the level of editing is that me doing the Thanos Iron Man thing with the I am a surgeon shoved in it. That's the level of my editing skill right now. Okay, my eyes are starting to burn again now, looking at this screen close by. Might have to call the stream a bit early. I did kind of expect this with the fact that my eyes aren't quite better yet. I was actually kind of hoping really was just kind of hoping that the eye drops would have lasted long enough for me to get through this, but they did not. And I can't use any more eye drops today. I've used up my allotted amount. Yes, let's I suppose we could raid Marla. Yeah, let's raid Marla. And there's no one else really I can raid who I know enough, so. And then I can go to sleep, rest my eyes for another night, and hopefully in the next couple of days my eyes will work properly. I mean, really, it would be nice if my eyes worked properly by tomorrow, and I could game properly again and stream properly. But thank you everyone for watching, as always. We've got a fair few ideas down for this beastie that I'll have to run by everyone in the prehistory D&D group, see if anyone has any extra ideas. So we've got a good amount of ideas for spending an hour on it. So I'll now send you over to Marla, who's playing a Gundam game. So, as always, thank you for watching. It's been fun. Apart from the burning eyes. But that's a different matter. Hopefully I will be on tomorrow. It really does depend how these eyes are. If I can get another small stream, and like I've done today, I will do. but I am also wary that if I spend too much time staring at a screen close by, it might make them not get better. So it will definitely be a we'll see how things go. But for now, I want to say hi to Marla, because we were about to raid now.